So it's always good to have a nice recap on our favorite cryptocurrencies, and Electroneum seems to be getting everybody's attention. I've been having a lot of comments lately, a lot of tweets, and people who've been reaching out on multiple different social media platforms who've been contacting us. Really, a lot of conversations happening, I've noticed, in the community revolving around these communities that Electroneum is going to be setting up, and of course the leaps and bounds that Electroneum is established moving forward, as far as how it's certainly an interesting merge in the sense of when we see what mobile mining could really do for the cryptocurrency space, and how it could really introduce cryptocurrency to an entirely new section of the population on a global scale that could really change the way that a lot of people see the way that these things are going to be functioning. This obviously, this article 8 hours old, talking about from the Global Coin Report, talking about how they could see Electroneum taking off with all these different things that have been happening. And I think that the infrastructure is there, and of course this is sort of an older article, but I think that it definitely further establishes the point how Electroneum wants to be the next PayPal, really moving forward and getting its foot in the door with that sort of section of the internet and people who are wishing to utilize this sort of technology as things move forward. So I think that there's a lot of stability as far as what Electroneum is aiming to do, and overall it's an interesting project. So welcome everybody to this episode of Crypto Clout. I'm your host, Faze Crypto, and this is the show where you subscribe for the latest and greatest in cryptocurrency news. And basically today, I think that we have a really strong case to be made for how Electroneum is moving forward in a big way, as far as how they're going to be a key influencer in the way of cryptocurrency developing and getting its hooks into the utilization, the time usage of an entire section of the population, which might at this point not even have cryptocurrency on their radar. But all that's about to change, and one of the ways that Electroneum has been crossing this very important bridge is through giveaways. The team that's been working on Electroneum, some of the best and brightest in terms of how we've been seeing how the Electroneum has been leveraging people who have a history with all these different areas and aspects of the technological world, as far as mobile carriers and all these things work. And I think that Electroneum's taking the only route possible. Certainly it's a road less traveled, but it's one that's the possibility can be realized nonetheless. And this being the fact that Electroneum is essentially doing what's proven to work in the world of phones, which I think is ultimately the only route that they could take. But it's definitely one that's working very closely with these mobile providers, which is, I think, the only way that they're ultimately going to get their foot in the door. There's really no subversive way of doing this. It has to be done directly, working hand in hand with the people who are actually creating the mechanisms that are going to be used for this mobile mining. And all these things are definitely really exciting things to be developing, especially while the community is developing alongside of all this stuff. So the future, in my opinion, I mean, with Chris Gorman, for instance, and of course moving forward, Chris Gorman, for those of you who don't know, he's a celebrity in the mobile industries, and it's definitely, and he's proven time and time again that things can be done that people otherwise might not even perceive to be possible. So this Chris Gorman fellow, definitely an interesting individual to be paying attention to, as these things continue to develop, and we're really going to be seeing a lot of interesting things coming out of Electroneum, especially with this team working behind it. So in this video, I'm very excited to be talking about these issues and things that I think that the community should be advocating in certain instances, and of course things that are basically going to come as a natural result of the evolution on a scientific level and a technological interconnected level of how we're going to see Electroneum making its way, not only in the public conversation, but really usage of Electroneum in day-to-day situations. So it's definitely interesting to see how mobile carriers have been paying attention to Electroneum as things move forward. And I think that Electroneum is in a very interesting position right now as far as how they've positioned themselves as far as the competition that's at stake with mobile mining and all these different things. When you look at the fact that Electroneum has really made it so that they're the only, realistically, the only realistic mobile mining option right now, and then you take into consideration basically the alternatives, and when we want to talk about safety and all these different things, people who don't want to the fact that people want to use something that's tried, tested, and true is always going to come home, I think, and it's really going to be definitely a strong point to make for something like Electroneum, and I'm definitely excited to see where this technology is going to go. I mean, as far as looking at any cryptocurrency from this sort of data perspective, I'm definitely excited to see how they've basically been leveraging this mechanisms of the future in such a way where it's really going to mean a great deal for the international stage, and seeing different people all around the world who've been adapting to Electroneum. It's very exciting stuff to see happening. Now, I know a lot of people say that they want to have their own favorite cryptocurrency added to a particular exchange. In this circumstance, we're talking about the possibility of seeing Electroneum added to Binance. And while I think that this will definitely be a very mutually beneficial thing happening across the board for Electroneum and Binance, I really think that it's Binance that should be keeping themselves and really having this sort of they should be desiring Electroneum, essentially, is what I'm saying at the end of the day. The community really wants to see this happen, and right now I think that this would definitely be really advantageous time to see something like Electroneum go onto Binance, because one of you'd be surprised, but one of the most commonly asked questions that I actually see down in the comments section below in multiple videos that I've made before about Electroneum actually pertains to people who are just now, who basically watched my video and then learned something about Electroneum, and then they ask me, where can I get Electroneum? A lot of people who are just now becoming introduced to crypto, believe it or not, actually can't find or don't want to operate on any of these different exchanges outside of Binance and outside of all these different exchanges, which is why exchanges are so crucial in the crypto ecosystem, as things are happening right now in terms of early adoption and people who seek these different technologies and so forth. It's certainly an interesting phenomenon, but I would say that that was something that Binance really shouldn't ignore Electroneum as far as these things go. I found this tweet kind of interesting, this article right here by Dr. Chris Gorman. Definitely an interesting thing that I'd recommend checking out, really going into detail about the possible, really how cryptocurrencies like Electroneum could be among the most influential, and I think that this really ties into the point that we were talking about earlier, in realistically, when you think about the fact about the accessibility of the computing power that the everyday person has access to these days, it seems as if a technology like Electroneum would be logical and basically a basic symptom of the times, because people can't mine for Bitcoin in their pocket. It's just something that they have to have a relatively complex setup and a bit more know-how than the average person is seeking to invest to get started on these things. But not with Electroneum. You simply download and you're ready to go, and it does the work for you and all these different things. So definitely some interesting things, and I think Electroneum is worth mentioning. I'm always happy to make videos and fulfill viewer requests on that front. But all that being said, if you guys are interested in sending us some requests or comments or feedback, all these different things are valid. You could send us a tweet at CryptoTuber, or of course you could send us a comment down below. Always reading all the comments. Love to hear what you guys have to say. But all that being said, yep, Electroneum on Binance. Let's go. Let's make it happen. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this content, and I'll see you guys next video. Have a good one.